My grandson took my pension and vanished. 87-year-old veteran told biker. 175 angels found him. The rain in Oak Haven always seemed to fall harder on Tuesdays, or perhaps it just felt that way to Arthur. At 87 years old, Arthur was a man built of iron will and fading bone, a World War II veteran who had faced down enemies across oceans only to find his greatest battle waiting for him in his own living room. His enemy wasn't a soldier in uniform, it was his own flesh and blood, his grandson, Leo. For months the light had been draining from Arthur's eyes. Once a proud man who stood tall in his dress blues, he now shuffled through life with slumped shoulders, his hands trembling not from age, but from fear. Leo, a man in his 30s with eyes that darted like trapped rats, had moved in to help. But help quickly turned into control. Leo isolated Arthur from his neighbors, took his phone, and slowly siphoned away the pension that was Arthur's lifeline. Leo spoke of investments, of debts, of emergencies, but the truth was far darker. He was bleeding his grandfather dry, planning to vanish the moment the accounts were empty. The turning point came on a dreary afternoon at the Greasy Angel Diner. This wasn't just any roadside eatery. It was the headquarters of the Archangel's motorcycle club, run by a man known simply as Bear. Bear was a mountain of a human being, with a beard like steel wool and a heart that beat in rhythm with the rumble of his Harley. He had served in the Marines, and he possessed an uncanny radar for men who had served before him. Arthur came in every day for a cup of black coffee and a slice of pie he could rarely afford anymore. Bear noticed the change immediately. Arthur's coat was threadbare, his cheeks hollow, but what set Bear's instincts on fire was Leo. The grandson would hover over Arthur, snatching the wallet before Arthur could reach for it, speaking in hushed, aggressive tones that made the old man flinch. That Tuesday, the tension snapped. Bear was wiping down the counter when he heard Leo's voice rise near the booth in the back. "Just sign the paper, Grandpa. We need to go to the bank now before they close," Leo hissed, his grip tight on Arthur's frail arm. "Don't make a scene. You want to end up in a home, don't you? Just do what I say." Arthur looked terrified, tears welling in his clouded eyes. "Leo, please, that's my pension. I need that for medicine." "You don't need anything I don't say you need," Leo snapped, dragging the old man toward the door. Bear didn't think, he acted. With a speed that belied his size, he rounded the counter and blocked the exit. The diner went silent. The clatter of forks stopped. Even the jukebox seemed to hold its breath. "You isn't going anywhere with you," Bear rumbled, his voice low and dangerous. Leo sneered, trying to push past. "This is family business, biker. Move or I'll call the cops." "You call whoever you want," Bear said, stepping between Leo and Arthur. He turned his gaze to the old veteran, softening instantly. "Arthur, look at me. Did he take your money?" Arthur hesitated, looking at Leo's furious face, then at Bear's steady, compassionate eyes. Something in Bear's demeanor, the straight posture, the respectful tone, triggered a memory in Arthur. He saw a fellow soldier. He took everything," Arthur whispered, his voice breaking. "He has my cards. He took my watch, my wife's watch. He says he's going to drain the account today and leave me." Bear's jaw tightened. He turned to Leo, his presence filling the small space. "You touch one more hair on this man's head, or try to steal one more cent from a man who fought for this country, and you'll have more than the cops to worry about. Get out, now." Intimidated by the sheer force of Bear's will and the sudden attention of the other patrons, many of whom were club members, Leo shoved Arthur slightly, spat on the floor, and stormed out, vowing revenge. But Bear knew Leo wouldn't stop. He would try again, perhaps with violence next time. Bear led Arthur to a quiet booth and sat with him. "I served, Arthur. Marine Corps, 82 to 90. We don't leave our own behind. Not ever."
Those words broke the dam. Arthur confessed everything: the isolation, the theft, the fear of dying alone and penniless. Bear listened, his hand resting gently on Arthur's shaking shoulder. When Arthur finished, Bear pulled out his phone. He didn't call the police first. He called Saint. Saint was the president of the Archangel's MC. Within 20 minutes, the parking lot of the Greasy Angel Diner transformed. It started with 5 bikes, then 10, then 50. Rumors flew through the club network faster than wildfire. An elderly veteran, a hero, was being preyed upon by his own kin. The code of the club was absolute: protect the vulnerable, honor the service, crush the predators. By sunset, 175 motorcycles lined the street. The roar of their engines was a symphony of justice. They weren't there to break the law. They were there to enforce a higher one. Saint, a man with a gaze that could freeze hell, coordinated the plan. While a team of club lawyers and financial experts worked tirelessly to freeze Arthur's accounts and secure his assets legally, the main contingent prepared for the confrontation. They tracked Leo to a run-down apartment complex on the edge of town. When the convoy arrived, the ground literally shook. 175 bikers, clad in leather vests emblazoned with wings and crosses, dismounted in unison. They walked up the stairs, a sea of black and chrome surrounding the building. There was no screaming, no chaos, just a terrifying, disciplined silence. Leo opened his door, expecting maybe a debt collector. Instead, he found Saint, Bear, and Arthur standing at the front, flanked by an army of angels on earth. Leo's face went pale. He tried to slam the door, but Bear held it open with one hand. "It's over, Leo," Saint said calmly. "We have frozen the accounts. The bank knows you are persona non grata. The police are on their way if you resist, but right now, you're dealing with us." Under the weight of 175 pairs of eyes, Leo crumbled. He handed over the stolen wallet, the credit cards, and finally, from a hidden drawer, the silver pocket watch that had belonged to Arthur's late wife. Arthur took the watch, clutching it to his chest, weeping openly. "You will never contact Arthur again," Saint commanded, his voice leaving no room for argument. "If you come within a mile of him, if you try to call him, if you even think about him, we will know, and next time we won't be so polite. Do you understand?" Leo nodded frantically, backing away into the shadows of his apartment as the bikers parted to let Arthur walk out with his head held high. That night, Arthur didn't go back to his lonely, fear-filled house. The club had already arranged a small, safe cottage just 2 blocks from the diner. It was furnished, stocked, and ready. But more importantly, Arthur had a new family. In the months that followed, the transformation was miraculous. Arthur regained his color, his strength, and his smile. He became the unofficial mascot of the Archangel's MC. He sat on the porch of the diner, telling stories of the war to young riders, teaching them that true strength wasn't in the size of your muscles, but in the size of your heart. The club members checked on him daily, bringing meals, fixing his fence, and ensuring he never felt alone again. Once a year, on the anniversary of that rainy Tuesday, the club holds a gathering. 175 bikes ride out, not to confront evil, but to celebrate good. They ride to Arthur's cottage, honking their horns in a joyful salute, reminding the world that kindness still exists, that second chances are real, and that no one, especially those who served, should ever have to fight their battles alone. Arthur often looks at the silver watch, ticking steadily on his wrist, and then out at the brothers and sisters who saved him. He knows now that family isn't just about blood. Family is about who shows up when the storm breaks. Family is the 175 angels who rode out of the rain to bring an old veteran home. This story reminds us that in a world that can often feel cold and indifferent, there are still people willing to stand up for what is right. It proves that one act of kindness can spark a movement, and that community is the most powerful force we have. If this story touched your heart, if you believe in the power of kindness and the importance of giving second chances, please like this video, share it with your friends and family, and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us spread these messages of hope to millions of people around the globe. Let's keep the spirit of the Archangels alive. And don't forget to tell us in the comments, where are you watching from? Let's see how far this story of hope can travel. Thanks for watching.